So, what was our next segment? I'm trying to think. What was our?
Cesaro and Miz versus Sheamus and Ziggler.
That's right. This was a fun tag match. I had fun with this. Some great back and forth. Of course, always seeing Cesaro in the ring, just being rough and tough and beating guys down because him and Ziggler had some great exchanges. Really, what was interesting was the dynamic of Cesaro Miz, because Cesaro, being a brawler, he just wants to beat people up. He doesn't care. Whereas Miz, I think his concern was more defensive, protecting his face. And one interesting thing to note, he did have a makeup chair set up at ringside, and Damien Sandow, his stun double, was at ringside. So that's a record 3 weeks, Ashton, that Sandow has kept the same gimmick. So there you
Can I say
go.
something?
Yeah.
Damien Sandow is actually being built for a face turn.
And you know what? I agree with you, and just to take a quick detour, because you brought it up, Ashton, I read that Sandow tweeted, "Patience is a virtue, you will not see it coming." He has done cryptic tweets on his career. Sandow 60 apparently has been a very successful WWE app program, and I think they're building Sandow to something. I really do. I don't know what, even
They're
if it
building Sandow to the Alex Riley push that Alex Riley couldn't keep on top of.
And if that's the case, because I actually thought that that push could have gotten him pretty far, I do have faith in Sandow to carry a push like that. So that makes me excited when you put that kind of a description to it. So I hope you're right. Speaking of Sandow, to again bring it back from our delightful little detour, because I love Sandow and I hope you're right. Miz tags out saying, "Hey, I'm done. Mizdow, you take care of it." And he goes to try and take care of it. Of course, the ref stops him. Dolph, being awesome, he's like, "Oh, you know what? The heck with this." And he nails the zigzag to Mizdow. But, while Mizdow is recovering, the real Miz comes in, nails the skull-crushing finale to Ziggler, and he pins Ziggler. So, if Miz didn't have a claim before to a rematch at Night of Champions, I think he certainly has it now. I've really enjoyed how these two have worked together. I've even enjoyed the story. You and I have said for the past few weeks now consistently that I just think this works for The Miz. And I love the commitment they have to it, because I love the makeup chair out there. I loved how he even had to take a break to get it applied to himself during the match. And I loved how Mizdow had involvement in the end. I thought that was a very creative and clever usage of the stun double. I think this is some of Miz's best work on his own. So, good stuff.
Yeah. Miz is definitely making waves. Just a matter of whether the crowd reciprocates that or not.
Yeah, and you know what?
Because they haven't yet.
And that's a shame, because this is one time where I really can't even say, "Oh, well, it's because The Miz this, and this," because this is to him what the bad news gimmick is to Barrett. I just think it's something that really clicks, has a type of authenticity to it, because I can very easily buy The Miz being that guy off camera.
Well, he actually probably is.
And he actually probably, but then again, when you're married to Maurice and you've had the success that he's had, I really can't say I entirely blame him. But, yeah, it works.
But then why exactly is Chris Sabin not that kind of a douchebag?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But
handle your crap, Miz.
I'm really happy.
Act like you've been there before.
I'm really happy that these mid-card guys seem to be finding gimmicks that click. With Barrett, which is really unfortunate that they got injured, and I still miss him. Him and Dean, man. Really missing those guys already. And Brian.
Freaking Brian. I was just going to say, come on.
Yeah, I know, but believe me, he's just been on everybody's mind. We got to give the other guys some love every once in a while. But, yeah, for Miz, I think if the crowd really starts responding to him, then his stock will really go up. But he's really doing well with where he is. And it's a nice fit, too. This isn't like some Alberto Del Rio crap where they just try and insert him in the main event or a higher spot where he clearly just can't carry it anymore. This, I think, is the perfect spot for him. This is a really fun match that brought together the two mid-card championship feuds. So, good opener.
Yeah. Up next, we had our first of 3, I believe. It might have been 4, but I think it was 3. Growing Up Bella segments. And it's all just Nikki Bella complaining about how awful of a human being Brie is and that she never told anybody about it. So this one, it was that they were at prom and Brie stole Nikki's high school crush or something like that. I don't know.
You know, I'm going to be honest, okay, and this is going to be where I guess kind of take the helm and air some of my grievances. Not with the product, though, but more with the perception, because I know so many people, including us, have said, oh, you know, the acting is so bad and it's killing the feud. But here's my thing, especially with the developments we got later in the night, I think this program has taken a somewhat interesting turn. But more importantly than that, like, I just turn my brain off during these and I have a great time. I thought this was hilarious. Like, Nikki Bella being all somber, and I had the biggest crush on him all 4 years. That was the only picture we have together. Because Brie stole him from me. And it's just like, you have the music in the background and the family photos, and I'm like, oh my god. Trying so hard.
Just waiting for the crowd to break out in Jerry, Jerry, Jerry.
I'm waiting for them to go like 80s, like trouble brewing. Ooh, like, you know, it's hysterical to me, and really, I just think people, and I understand why, because again, we have harped on the Bellas acting like we're certainly not innocent, but to me, to say like, oh, I changed the channel or this and that, I mean, I don't even think it's that bad. If you're able to find the humor in it, I think it's a good time, and I had a good time with these. So, you know what, Nikki?
I'll admit, John, I had a good time with the first two.
The first two, yeah. And really, dude.
It's like once they pushed it, and let me rephrase that. They just got worse as they went on. The first one was like, oh, ha, they're doing this. And then the second one was like, oh, it's just going to be all Nikki? Okay. And the third one was like, okay, we get it. Screw off.
But see, dude, like, I still even had fun with that only because, and I will say this, and I do have to give credit to my friend James, who is just so freaking hilarious. He provided me with memes that people did of growing up Bella, and I think that's what sustained the humor for me, is to see what people on the internet were doing with these segments. So that was great stuff. I feel like this whole structure, though, the crying shame of it is, to bring maybe some criticism back to the product, is that I felt like it had potential if you got both sides. If you had Nikki going on this libelous character assassination of Brie, but then you have Brie in turn not trying to fake cry or anything like that, but just being Brie Bella and being thoughtful and talking about childhood memories and just being herself and talking about her life with Nikki, and you have that contrast. I feel like that could have been a somewhat entertaining piece of television, but it was really just a showcase of Nikki again engaging in this character assassination of Brie. And again, it's just more unintentional comedy as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly. I'm beginning to wonder just how unintentional it is.
You know what? Me the same way, my friend, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. Just keep the laughs rolling as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out what was up next. Oh, 6 Diva tag team match. Cameron, Eva Marie, and Rosa Mendez versus Layla, Naomi, and Summer Rae. And I'm hoping that my reading those names takes longer than the actual review of this match.
It did, because I'll be honest, it's not even just the fact that the match was short. All I remember from this match is Naomi hitting the rear view on, I'm assuming, Rosa Mendez and getting the pin. That's literally all I remember from this match. So, unless your memory is stronger than mine, which there's certainly a legitimate case for that fact, oddly enough, that's my review. So.
Ready to move on?
Yeah, there you go! There you go.
We get a recap. We had 2 or 3 recaps, actually, of the whole Dean Ambrose getting taken out segment from a couple weeks ago, which I can't complain about because I like that they're at least trying to keep him on everybody's forefront, but 2 or 3 times in one night from something that happened 2 weeks ago just seems a little excessive.
I would have just done it once, because see, here's the thing. Obviously, you want to keep talents on people's minds, but at the same time, you don't want to do it to the point where you ruin any kind of potential element of surprise. And, you know, so it's kind of like walking that tightrope.
They have already done that, my friend.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with you. I would have just done it once, and then honestly, I would have just done it one time period and then never reference it again. Just do it on one Raw, maybe even the week after, because it makes the most sense. if you wanted to continue with that eulogy segment that Seth Rollins did, I guess that's permissible. But then other than that, just go about your business. And then when Dean reemerges, it gets this big pop. So
Exactly.